Hi, so welcome to our session today on Sankalpa and mantra. So this is one of the subjects we're going to focus on. So what is a Sankalpa? Well, before we get to that, you can look at this quote here. It is said that anything can fail you in life, but not the Sankalpa made during yoga practice, that a Sankalpa can change your destiny. Well, that's a lot of expectations put into a Sankalpa, but surely a Sankalpa is a very, very powerful tool that we can be using. And a Sankalpa is the Sanskrit word basically for a resolve, or some people think of it as a resolution. And here you can see the definition: decide upon, make up one's mind upon action or doing or to do, form mentally. Or you can also see another definition as intentions that one formulates mentally for virtuous conduct, and simply will or purpose. So we're going to go a little bit more into detail about what a Sankalpa is and how we can formulate our own personal Sankalpa. And so before we make that, we want to know why we would want to have a Sankalpa in the first place. So firstly, it can strengthen the mind, and especially it can strengthen the willpower. It can change the habits and addictions. So it can help to remove those habits that we might be having. And it can change our conditionings. Okay? And if we can change our conditionings, if we can help to remove our addictions or our habits, then we can transform ourselves on many levels. It can help us to improve our personality, it can help give direction in life, and it will definitely make our lives much more positive and beneficial. So you see the next point here, the Sankalpa is a choice we make on deciding how we should be living our lives. Okay. It's not used to fulfill a desire like, I want to have a Sankalpa to earn lots and lots of money. Okay, it should be something that is going to positively affect us on all levels, so physically, mentally, and spiritually. So how do we find our Sankalpa? How do we understand what is the Sankalpa that suits us? Well, it's not normally going to come to us very spontaneously or very naturally. We will have to spend a little bit of time searching for that. And we're going to go through a few of those techniques after this so that you can start to understand what is the right Sankalpa for you. So you will need a little bit of time to meditate, to reflect on your life, on what direction you want to be taking. And luckily we've already done a lot of this last week, so that will be helping. Sometimes that Sankalpa may be temporary for a short period of time, but once we come to the right Sankalpa, the one that really sits well with us, then we will know it and we should keep that one. We don't want to have one Sankalpa one day, another Sankalpa the next day. We need to stick with it, and the longer we stick with it, the more power we will get from that. So how to put the Sankalpa together? Once you've got an idea of the subject matter, the direction that you want to be taking, how do you make it nice and clear and the correct way? So we want to make sure that it's always going to be put in a positive way, not having any kind of negative connotations at all. And we also want to make sure that we can remember it. So if we have this really, really long Sankalpa, we're not going to be able to remember it in a moment. We'll have to, have a look at it in our book. So it should be something that we can remember all the time. So, one sentence or a maximum of a couple of sentences that are really fixed in your mind, so you'll be able to remember it at any moment without having to look or read it. And this last point, how you want things to be right now. Okay, so not talking about how you want things to be in the future or how things have been in the past, but right at this moment, like saying, I'm happy and healthy. And we've put some examples together. So here you can see I'm happy and healthy in my body, mind and soul. Or my emotions are balanced and I can overcome any obstacles in my life. Or my anger is dissolving and I'm happy and at peace. My body is healing and I'm getting stronger every day. I'm peaceful and content. Okay, so that's just some different kinds of examples that you could be using. And then looking at when we should actually be using it. So the more you can use it, the better, as I've mentioned. But it is really important that you think about your Sankalpa as soon as you wake up in the morning. So before, getting out of bed, going to the toilet, cleaning your teeth, all that kind of stuff, just think of your Sankalpa. Sitting up, having the eyes closed, remembering your Sankalpa 3 times. Okay. If you can't do it 3 times, at least 1 time, but if you can do 3, it's good. And you can say it out loud or you can say it mentally, but start the day with your Sankalpa. And the same way, make sure that you're remembering it before you go to sleep. So immediately before you lay down and close your eyes. I've often asked students to put their Sankalpa on paper on the wall near their bed so that as soon as they wake up in the morning they see it. I've used this technique a lot for ladies who are pregnant, and it's helped them a lot to get through especially difficult times. So waking up, when we wake up, when we go to sleep, and when you want to think about your Sankalpa, you want it to be a time where you are feeling nice and peaceful and quiet, okay, so that you'll be able to focus fully on that Sankalpa. The next point here, I say repeat the Sankalpa at the beginning and end of any kind of practice that you're doing. Okay, so example, at the beginning of your yoga practice, okay, before you go and do some meditation, before you get into your pranayama, remember that resolve, that Sankalpa, and it will give you more focus and direction as well for your yoga practice. Okay, so the beginning but also the end, because then it will just reinforce that direction that you need. And it can be remembered at any time. Okay, so not just when you're waking up or doing some kind of practice, it can be remembered during the difficult times as well. Okay, when you need that extra bit of motivation. Just as a reminder, it might be that you decide you want to write it down and put it all over your house. You might want to put it in your car, on the wheel, the steering wheel. Wherever it is that it will remind you all the time about your Sankalpa. And this last point here, by remembering it at the beginning and end, it will reinforce that seed that has been planted. Okay, so it will allow us to be more grounded, more focused, and it will be, the more we remember it, the more energy we're giving towards that seed so that it can grow and flourish. So next we want to look at Sankalpa in a slightly different way, an additional practice to just thinking about it or repeating it a few times. We want to look at practicing the Sankalpa as a mantra. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard about comparing the mantra to stirring of a pot. So example, you've got a pot of water and you're stirring it in a clockwise direction, and you're stirring it, and it becomes faster and faster and faster. And it's the same way, the more you chant the mantra, the stronger it becomes. So it is more helpful for us if we can be repeating our Sankalpa over and over and over again, and it will become more imprinted onto our psyche. So here you can see every time we say a mantra, we're bringing positivity into our bank. It's like a mantra bank, positivity bank. So no time when you say it is it being wasted. It's all being stored there, which is going to help you. what we want to be doing this week. So obviously we want to be finding our own personal Sankalpa. Okay? And the practices that you did last week are really going to help give you that direction to understand what is important for you. So the first one you did the swan practice. So that's an overview of your life. So think of what weaknesses you need to work on to achieve your ambitions or your needs. Think about what is really important to you at this moment. What are your requirements? Okay. Then look at that assignment you did on analyzing thoughts and emotions. Is there something that is really coming up very strongly that you think you need to work on? Okay. And the last one, the problems analysis assignment, this is one that you're going to be given this week. So that's where you're going to be looking at the different problems that you might be having. You're going to look at what is that root cause of those problems. Okay. And so problems, addictions, whatever is stopping you from fulfilling your goals, any kind of obstacle that might be there. And in that assignment, you're going to be looking at, like I said, the root cause of that. So that will also give you some ideas on what you want to be working on with your Sankalpa. So thinking on what you need to focus on specifically. So all those three practices will give you a really solid foundation idea. What is important for you for your Sankalpa? And once you've put together your Sankalpa, you need to remember it. Don't forget it. Remembering it during the day, especially as I've said, in the morning, when you're waking up, when you go to bed at night, writing it down, looking at it throughout the day, and then you're going to be practicing it in addition to that, like a mantra. Okay, so the first way that you're going to be practicing it is by repeating it. So you're going to repeat it verbally, and you're also out loud, and you're also going to repeat it mentally. Okay, so you can do whatever feels most comfortable to you, or depending on your surroundings at the time. I would suggest that you try practicing it both ways. Okay, when you're doing it mentally, so where you're just saying it in your mind, you want to be repeating it on an inhalation. And this is a practice that comes from Swara Yoga, that if you remember your Sankalpa, your resolve, on an inhalation, it is a lot more powerful than remembering it on the exhalation. Okay, so whether it's the mental repetition or you're saying it, here we've written 11 or 21 breaths, more if preferred. Okay, so if you want to do this practice a little bit longer, definitely it will benefit you. Okay, so that's the first practice, so repeating it verbally or mentally. And the second one is Likit Japa. So this is where we will be writing our Sankalpa, which we're thinking of like a mantra. So writing our Sankalpa mantra over and over. So example, writing it down 11 times or 21 times or more if you prefer, if you've got time. Okay, you can write it over and over. So that's just another way of practicing. And then here, the last slide is a completing of your assignment for this week on Sankalpa. So there are a few questions that you're going to be thinking about and answering, and these are going to be in your week 2 assignment document. So writing your experience of finding your Sankalpa. How often did you remember it? Could you remember it? Was it simple enough that you could remember, or did you find that you started forgetting parts of it? Did it ever come naturally to you, like very spontaneously? You know, maybe you started singing it during the day. Maybe you just noticed that it was repeating in your mind. How was the experience using your Sankalpa like a mantra? So verbally, mentally, and through Likit Japa, so through writing of your Sankalpa. Okay, did you find that one way was more powerful than another? Okay, and then if there's anything else that you want to share, So that's your assignment for this week on Sankalpa, and it will be a very helpful one for you to be really finding out that Sankalpa and using it not just for this week, but for probably quite some time. So I hope that you enjoy this assignment. Hari Om.